at first I was scared to do videos. I'm like, how am I looking on this camera? And now I'm just like, whatever, right? And then when I watch the videos back, I just smile. I just smile because I get joy out of seeing myself step out of what I once didn't even want to do. I wanted to go through a process with you of how you end up where you end up, right? And I think that a lot of it is based on how you grew up. You'll go through whatever experiences you will with your caregivers, your parents, whoever raised you, and that impacts your life. And so I just wanted to give you kind of a history of how I arrived here to be doing what I'm doing, right? And so, I was born in 1968 and to two parents, Edie and Eugene, and basically they only had me, right? Them two together had me. And then my aunt had children, and so my parents helped them. So they were like my siblings, right? If my parents needed to go somewhere, I would go to my auntie's house, right? And hang out with my cousins. My cousins would cook me food or something like that. My cousins would pick me up, take me wherever, right? It's just, I had all these different experiences because they were all older than me, except for one. And so I just, I had so much, I saw so much, probably saw too much at an early age, right? And so my parents were working, and so then I just was free to kind of, come and go, be out then. And back then it was a time when you could be out. There was nobody saying, oh my God, where are they at? They're not home right now, right? You just came home when the street light came on or not. So my parents basically, they knew where I was at. And so during my childhood, up until about age 10, when my parents separated and then eventually they got a divorce, I was just hanging out with my dad. If my mom was working, I was going with my dad to wherever my dad was taking me. And so I got a lot of visuals of things probably that I shouldn't have saw, but whatever, right? So I've been to bars, back alleys, people shooting dice, just these were people that were older than me. And I'm thinking that, they knew my dad had to bring me along, so they would entertain me, right? I had McDonald's money. I had, I'd go to the mall and just be perusing the bookstore and seeing what they had, the magazines or whatever, right? So whatever change I had in my pocket, I would use it to buy stuff, right? And so, hanging out with my dad, doing things. My parents were very active in bowling, so we go to bowling events just like you'd go to a baseball game. We were bowling, right? We were a bowling family. My cousins, my auntie, everybody was bowling. And so as I got older and after my parents divorced, I just kind of went my way, right? But just a free spirit, experience this, that didn't go well, okay, right? But all the while, I am writing poetry, short stories, figuring it out in the stores, looking at Writer's Digest. How can I get my work published? I'm doing that consistently, just, I'm using one of those old typewriters, not the one that I have now, but I'm using a typewriter to type up my stuff and then submit it to magazines. I'm doing that. So from, a young age of like 10, just continuously doing that. And as I got older and I learned more, you do more. So I go through high school, somewhere along the lines I get pregnant, and then after that it seemed like, okay, she's pregnant again, okay, so I have 4 children, and so yeah, doing a whole bunch, but I experienced so much from, I would say, like around the age of 16 to maybe 30. I was really going through a lot because you have these kids, you have people helping you with the kids because you don't know what you're doing, you just fly by your pants type of thing, right? And remember, I was a kid who could just come and go. I could tell my parents, oh, I'm going over here, or, oh, I'm gonna be at the skating rink, can you pick me up in the morning? Right? And back then they had that, you could go to the skating rink at 7, and then 7 p.m. and you could come out of there at 7 a.m. and then my dad would be there to pick me up. Right? So all of this was just going on back then, right? It was a thing, So there's other kids, people that my age, there were other kids there that, they did the same thing. So if you ask people that lived in my area or they went to my school, we were all doing this stuff, right? We're hanging out at the mall, in the arcade, just, whatever we could do, we were entertaining ourselves, right? And so I guess my point is I'm getting at is I had a lot of freedom, and I could tell my parents, or especially my mom, I could just say, well, I submitted this poetry, but the places, I have no concept of where this place is at, but I was like, I got my poetry in this magazine. She was like, okay, let's go, and we go, and it would be a celebration, and yay, right? So that happened, and as I got older, I submitted more things and got accepted to more things, and then got the recognition, when I was in high school, and just continued to learn, right? And then always, when I think back, it's like I had this thing where there were no limits, right? So it's not like I grew up thinking I can't do it. I'm gonna try it, and if it doesn't work out, then okay, right? And then when I look back, I'm thinking, you tried a lot of stuff and then you stopped a lot of stuff, right? You didn't stick with a lot of stuff. And it's like, is that because I had so much freedom and I could, or I was allowed to do things, experiment, see if I liked stuff, right? Nobody knew that I was in ballet, or that I played the trumpet, or that I was competing in swimming competitions. Nobody knew that, right? Today it's like, girl, you don't know how to do none of that, barely swimming, right? So just allowed to be free and say, oh, I want to do this now, and then, okay, well, let's figure it out, try it. And I, in my mind, as an adult, as I got older, you don't know how to stick with anything. Or how about you had the opportunity to try so much that now you know the thing, because at times I would think, well, I went to college, but I dropped out. It just wasn't for me, twice. No, actually 3 times, so, yeah. And you'll be thinking, I did not succeed, but did I? Yeah. And it took me till now to really know that all those little things that you were doing, seeking, experimenting, trying out, trying and failing, okay, that doesn't work for you, that's not good for you. You still kept circling back to this writing thing. And because that's where your comfort was, that's what, intrigued you, your heart was there, you could express yourself. So I always ended up back here, writing. And so when you get up in age, you think, what have I accomplished? What did I do? And I started thinking that. And it's like, well, you did do something. You have been looking into this thing your whole life. So, yeah, this is the thing, people will ask me, they'll just call me out of the blue. My mom would call me out of the blue. Hey, so and so's trying to write a book. Can you help them? You chat it up with them for an hour and then they're on their way, right? So, somebody knows that I know something, right? I have knowledge in books, writing, being an author, publishing. So somebody knows that I know enough, something to help somebody, right? And you'll think, oh, I don't know if I'm good enough, right? I think that's the imposter syndrome. Like, I'm here, I'm in this space, but do I know enough? When in fact, yeah, you know more than somebody else. There's somebody asking you the things. So tell them the things you know, and then be honest enough to say, hey, I don't know that thing, but hey, let's look it up, right? And because there's a wealth of information out there, I mean, it's at your fingertips, right, on your phone. There's no reason for you not to know something. There is somebody out there that has done something that you don't know. They are one step ahead of you. So you can learn for free from somebody, right? They want you to know what they know now. Because why? They were struggling too. So they looked it up and they said, okay, let me make a video, right? Let me make a course. And so here I am now, and I'm teaching, and I just enjoy talking about writing, publishing, being an author. I enjoy that, and I enjoy people asking me about it. And even people say, well, how come you don't do a course? How come you don't have this and that? I'm not there. I am mentally not there yet, right? And I guess if I was pushed into a position where I'd have to do something, then okay, well, let's look at that. let's look at it. But right now, I'm not really pressed to do that, and that's not where my heart is at. My heart is just, talking about it, teaching people if they want to learn about it, so they can go down that path. I'm more than happy to talk to people. So you see how my life just took this freedom, able to experiment, come and go as I please, have all these. I was in this era of your parents didn't really keep that much of an eye on you, to this era where now we have to watch our kids and watch who they hang out with. So I'm in all of this, right? And come to here, this point in my life, I'm like, yeah, this is the thing. And it's okay. It's okay where I'm at. And I just wanted to talk to you to let you know that maybe your life didn't end up like mine. Yeah, because, I had a great life, right? I did cause some of my own problems, right? The issues that I had, I brought it on myself so much. So if you have something that you want to do, you know a lot about it. It doesn't have to be books. But if you know a lot about that thing, teach somebody that thing. Just turn on the camera. You don't even have to have your face on the camera. Just turn on the camera and teach somebody. There is somebody who needs that thing. They're trying to do whatever you've done, and when they're looking at you, they're saying, oh my God, you're so successful. And you might think, I'm struggling out here in these streets. But no, somebody needs that. And so help somebody. Just help somebody. And then, here recently, I found out that I like acting. I like to be comedic, right? It's just this ulterior ego that I've created and put on my different social media pages. And it's fun. I'm finding that, oh my gosh, here you are, 58, and you're doing this acting, this comedic thing that I never thought I would do, ever. So, so something brand new in my 50s. It's like, who does that? A lot of people do it. So, it's never too late to start over, to try to figure out something again. You know, your life may have been going this way, and then it went this way, and then you know, you might be on this way, right? You know, whatever trajectory it is, yeah, just try. Right? At first, I was scared to do videos. I'm like, how am I looking on this camera? And now I'm just like, whatever, right? And then when I watch the videos back, I just smile. I just smile because I get joy out of seeing myself step out of what I once didn't even want to do. You know, I'm looking at other people on the camera saying, ooh, gosh, they look like they got it all together. They're figuring it out too. But now I smile at myself. I be smiling like every time I do a video. I be like, yeah. Even with the blemish, even with no makeup, even with no lipstick, you know, whatever, you know, the uneven skin. Yep, doing it all. Because nobody's calling me up saying, girl, what are you doing? Nobody's saying that, right? And I just keep doing it. And it really has helped me step outside of all of that to say, don't worry about what you look like on camera. You know, the people that are watching you, they want to come back and watch the videos. They're coming back there because they're learning something. They need something that you have to offer. So worrying about, you know, your appearance, you know, if you feel like you're overweight, you know, you don't have this image of yourself, you don't have good self-esteem about yourself, don't worry about that, you know, because nobody's gonna call you up and say, oh, you know, I imagine when you get to be big, right? I'm not a big content creator, but I imagine there's, you know, in the comments there'll be a whole bunch of hot messness, right? But I've even prepared myself for that. Like, if people come to my comments and they say something crazy, I'm just like, well, you know, it's a comment. Yeah, you know. So prepare yourself for the worst. Yeah. So I'm always doing that self-talk so that when I am presented with something that I may have thought in the past, then all I gotta do is say, yeah, you know what, you're right. You are right, right? At one time they probably were right, but not let it impact me and keep pushing, keep going. Don't let it affect me, right? So, yeah, I hope something in this encouraged you and makes you want to do your thing. And the fact that, like I say, from when I was a child to now, I've had all these experiences and very fortunate. I am never going to deny that I was very fortunate to have the parents that I had that just, I don't know, just let me run the street, right? It's just kind of like the kids today, they're not growing up like we did, where we did have the freedom, but then the safety, you know, you didn't consider, oh my God, is my kid safe? Yeah. You know, there's not this different thinking now where you have to really consider all these things, right? So, yeah, just wanted to share something today, and I hope that you got something out of it. Yeah. So, I will see you next time. Take care and subscribe and like this video. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.